Imagine a product that kills more than 8 million people every year, yet is marketed as glamorous, fun, and successful. A product that generates tens of billions of dollars in revenue for its manufacturers, that costs the world more than $1.4 trillion in healthcare and lost productivity. A product that is addictive, harmful, and deadly, yet is legal and widely available. This product is tobacco. And this is the story of how the tobacco industry has been able to survive and thrive despite the overwhelming evidence of its harm. For decades, tobacco companies have lied, deceived, and manipulated the public about the dangers of smoking and the addictive nature of nicotine. They have targeted children and youth with appealing ads, promotions, and flavors. They have lobbied and bribed politicians and officials to prevent or weaken anti-smoking laws and policies. They have fought and denied the scientific evidence and the legal claims against them. And they have continued to make billions of dollars in profits, while millions of lives are lost or ruined by their products. In this video, we will expose the truth about the tobacco industry, one of the most profitable and powerful industries in the world. We will look at how tobacco companies have created a global epidemic of smoking and its related diseases, how tobacco companies have used sophisticated and unethical strategies to influence public opinion, policy, and regulation. We will also explore how tobacco companies have adapted and evolved to new challenges and opportunities, such as e-cigarettes and vaping. And we will ask, how can we hold the tobacco industry accountable for its crimes against humanity and the planet? Stay tuned to find out. If you liked it, please like the video and subscribe to our channel for more content. Part 1. The history and impact of tobacco. Tobacco is a plant that contains nicotine, a psychoactive substance that stimulates the brain and creates a feeling of pleasure and relaxation. Tobacco has been used for centuries by various cultures and civilizations for medicinal, ceremonial, and recreational purposes. However, it was not until the 19th and 20th centuries that tobacco became a mass-produced and widely consumed commodity. The cigarette was invented in the late 1800s and soon became popular among soldiers, workers, and women. The cigarette was also cheap, convenient, and easy to use. By the early 1900s, the cigarette had become the dominant form of tobacco consumption in the world. The tobacco industry emerged in the late 1800s and early 1900s as a result of the consolidation and expansion of several tobacco companies, such as American Tobacco, British American Tobacco, Imperial Tobacco, and R.J. Reynolds. These companies competed fiercely for market share and profits, and invested heavily in advertising, marketing, and research. The tobacco industry also benefited from the support and protection of governments, especially in the United States, where tobacco was a major crop and source of revenue. The tobacco companies reached a peak of production and consumption in the 1960s and 1970s. According to the World Health Organization, in 2019, there were more than 1.3 billion smokers in the world, consuming more than 5.7 trillion cigarettes per year. The tobacco industry generated more than $800 billion in revenue and more than $35 billion in profit in 2019. The top 5 tobacco companies in the world are China National Tobacco, Philip Morris International, British American Tobacco, Japan Tobacco International, and Imperial Brands. The tobacco industry also became one of the most harmful and destructive industries in the world, causing a massive toll of death, disease, and suffering. Smoking is the leading cause of preventable death in the world, responsible for more than 8 million deaths per year, including more than 7 million smokers and more than 1 million non-smokers exposed to secondhand smoke. According to the World Health Organization, The annual cost of smoking to the world economy is more than $1.4 trillion, or 1.8% of the global GDP, due to healthcare expenditures and lost productivity. Part 2. The deception and manipulation of the tobacco industry. The tobacco industry has known for decades that smoking is harmful and addictive, but it has deliberately concealed this information from the public. The tobacco companies has also systematically targeted and influenced vulnerable populations, such as children, women, and low-income groups, to recruit new smokers and retain existing ones. They has also aggressively lobbied and bribed politicians to prevent or weaken anti-smoking laws and policies, and also fought and challenged the scientific evidence. The deception and manipulation of the tobacco industry can be traced back to the 1950s, when the first scientific studies linking smoking to lung cancer and other diseases were published. The tobacco industry formed a front organization called the Tobacco Industry Research Committee, later renamed the Council for Tobacco Research, to fund and promote its own research that cast doubt on the health effects of smoking. The tobacco companies hired public relations firms, such as Hill and Knowlton, to craft and disseminate its messages and arguments to the media, the public. The deception and manipulation of the tobacco companies continued and intensified in the 1960s and 1970s, when the U.S. Surgeon General and other health authorities issued official reports and warnings about the dangers of smoking, and when the first anti-smoking laws and policies were enacted, such as banning cigarette advertising on television and radio, requiring health warnings on cigarette packs, and restricting smoking in public places. The tobacco companies responded by diversifying and expanding its product portfolio, introducing new brands, flavors, and designs, such as menthol, low-tar, light, and slim cigarettes, to appeal to different segments and markets, especially women and youth. They also increased and diversified its advertising and marketing channels, using print and outdoor, as well as sponsoring sports, arts, and cultural events to promote its products and image. The deception and manipulation of the tobacco companies reached a climax in the 1990s and 2000s, when the tobacco industry faced a series of lawsuits and investigations from various parties, such as state attorneys general, class action plaintiffs, and journalists. According to a new study published in Tobacco Control, the world's largest multinational tobacco companies are systematically advertising cigarettes to kids near playgrounds and schools in more than 40 countries. These strategies are designed to attract and addict young consumers to their deadly products, despite the company's claims that they do not market cigarettes to children. One of the most notorious examples of tobacco advertising targeting children is the case of Camel, a cartoon camel character created by R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company in 1988 to promote Camel cigarettes. Camel appeared in magazines, billboards, posters, and merchandise, often in fun and adventurous situations that appealed to kids. A study conducted in 1991 found that 91% of 6-year-olds recognized Camel, and that he was as familiar to them as Mickey Mouse. The study also found that the awareness of Camel among children was associated with a positive attitude towards smoking and a greater likelihood of trying cigarettes. In 1997, R.J. Reynolds agreed to stop using Camel in its advertising as part of a settlement with several state attorneys general who sued the company for violating the law and deceiving the public. These are just some of the examples of how tobacco companies have exploited children's vulnerability and curiosity to sell their harmful products. The tobacco companies also attempted to negotiate and settle some of the lawsuits and investigations, such as the 1998 Master Settlement Agreement, which required the tobacco industry to pay $206 billion to 46 states over 25 years to fund tobacco prevention and cessation programs, and to restrict some of its advertising and marketing practices. Part 3. The adaptation and evolution of the tobacco industry. The tobacco industry has adapted and evolved by developing and marketing new and alternative products, such as e-cigarettes and vaping devices, heated tobacco products. The tobacco companies claims that these products are safer and less harmful than conventional cigarettes, and that they can help smokers quit or reduce their smoking. However, these claims are not supported by sufficient and independent scientific evidence, and these products are not regulated or approved by the health authorities, such as the Food and Drug Administration in the US. Moreover, these products are not harmless or risk-free, and they can still cause addiction, disease, and death. These products are not intended or designed to replace or eliminate cigarettes, but rather to complement and supplement them, and to create new markets and customers for the tobacco industry. One of the most controversial and popular products of the tobacco industry is the cigarette, also known as the electronic cigarette, the vaporizer, or the vape. The cigarette was invented in 2003 by a Chinese pharmacist named Hunlick, who patented and marketed it as a smoking cessation device. They soon became a recreational and fashionable product, especially among young people, who were attracted by its novelty, variety, and convenience. The cigarette market grew rapidly, reaching $19.3 billion in 2018, and attracting many players, including traditional tobacco companies, such as Philip Morris International, British American Tobacco, Japan Tobacco International, and Imperial Brands, as well as new entrants, such as JUUL Labs, and Joy, and Blue. The tobacco companies also claims that e-cigarettes can help smokers quit or reduce their smoking by providing them with a similar sensation and satisfaction, but with less nicotine and fewer health risks. They offer a wide range of flavors, such as fruit, candy, dessert, coffee, and menthol. And because they allow users to customize their devices, liquids, and experiences. However, these claims are not scientific evidence, and they are disputed by many health authorities and experts, who argue that e-cigarettes are not safe or effective, and that they pose serious threats to public health and safety. They argue that e-cigarettes are not harmless or risk-free, and that they can still cause addiction, disease, and death. They point out that e-cigarettes contain and emit nicotine, which is a highly addictive and harmful substance that can affect the brain, the heart, the lungs, and the reproductive system. Health experts also argue that e-cigarettes do not help smokers quit or reduce their smoking, but rather increase their nicotine dependence and dual use. They cite studies that show that e-cigarettes are not more effective than other smoking cessation methods, and that most e-cigarette users do not quit smoking, but rather continue to smoke both cigarettes. Studies show that e-cigarettes can act as a gateway or a catalyst for smoking initiation, especially among young people, who are more likely to try and use e-cigarettes than cigarettes, and who are more likely to progress from e-cigarettes to cigarettes than vice versa. One of the most notorious and successful examples of the tobacco industry's deception and manipulation through e-cigarettes is JUUL, a brand of e-cigarettes that was launched in 2015 by two former smokers who claimed to create a product that would help smokers switch from cigarettes. JUUL became the most popular and profitable e-cigarette brand in the US, capturing more than 70% of the market share and generating more than $3.3 billion in revenue in 2018. JUUL also became the most controversial and criticized e-cigarette brand in the US, sparking a public health crisis and a regulatory backlash due to its role in fueling the youth vaping epidemic and its alleged violation of various laws and regulations. JUUL's success and scandal were driven by its design and marketing. JUUL's design was sleek, discreet, and easy to use. It resembled a USB flash drive that could be charged and used with a computer or a phone. JUUL's marketing was aggressive and pervasive. It used online, social media, and influencer campaigns that reach and appealed to young people, and that portrayed JUUL as a safe, satisfying, and stylish product. JUUL's impact and consequences were devastating and alarming. JUUL contributed to a surge in e-cigarette use among young people, reversing the previous decline in tobacco use among this population. According to the National Youth Tobacco Survey, the percentage of high school students who reported using e-cigarettes in the past 30 days increased from 11.7% in 2017 to 27.5% in 2019, representing more than 4 million young e-cigarette users. JUUL exposed and addicted millions of young people to nicotine, which can impair their brain development, affect their learning, memory, and attention. JUUL faced and suffered from various business and reputational losses and damages, such as declining sales, market share, and valuation, as well as losing customers and investors, such as Altria, the tobacco giant that bought a 35% stake in JUUL for $12.8 billion in 2018, and that wrote down its investment by $8.6 billion in 2019. Part 4. The conclusion. The fight against the tobacco industry is not only a moral and ethical duty, but also a practical and beneficial one. The fight against the tobacco industry can save and improve millions of lives by preventing and reducing smoking and its related diseases. The fight against the tobacco industry can also sustain the environment by reducing and eliminating the deforestation, pollution, and emissions caused by tobacco production. The fight against the tobacco industry can also boost and strengthen the economy by reducing and avoiding the healthcare and productivity costs associated with smoking and its related diseases. Governments have their responsibility to enact and enforce effective laws and policies to regulate the tobacco industry and its products, such as banning or restricting tobacco advertising, marketing, and sponsorship, requiring plain and standardized packaging and graphic health warnings on tobacco products, banning or limiting smoking in public places and workplaces, providing and funding smoking cessation, and implementing with the Framework Convention on Tobacco Control, the international treaty that aims to reduce the global tobacco epidemic. The fight against the tobacco industry has already achieved some remarkable and inspiring results and successes, such as reducing the global smoking prevalence from 27% in 2000 to 20% in 2016, saving more than 50 million lives from premature death, and creating more than 2 billion smoke-free environments. The fight against the tobacco industry also has a lot of potential and promise, as more and more people and countries are joining and supporting the fight, and as more and more innovations and solutions are emerging and evolving. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. We would love to hear from you. See you next time.